Welcome to Oh No, the Zozo Show. I'm that gayish friend that wants you to enjoy every bit of your orgasm because you fucking deserve it. Season 4, bitches! Namaste. So I am back after a lengthy break, a much needed break, although there have been quite a few issues since my last time recording this. I had written the entire series out, however, I hadn't recorded them all, and I unfortunately, in the midst of all the chaos and stress, ended up in the ER twice. I ended up having Bell's palsy on top of complex migraines. I also ended up having a slight aneurysm, but I am okay, no surgery needed. It's just going to be monitored, so left side of my face is going to be a little droopy, so try not to look at it too much. I'm a little vain, but here I am. I don't like the way I look right now, but it's going to be okay because, I shouldn't say I don't like the way I look because, I do fucking like the way I look. I think I'm hella cute. I just wish that my face wasn't droopy. Anywho, I've been dealing a lot with some professional stuff that has really been surprising me in a very happy way. Magnetic lashes have been doing great. I have also been selling quite a bit of the athleisure wear, but I definitely want to focus more on the magnetic eyelashes because it's been going places, and that's taken quite a bit of discipline and pulling myself a little too thin here and there and not getting the adequate rest and still making sure I'm doing the whole parenting thing right, which I don't even know if there's a right way or not for that. I think I probably stretched myself a little too thin and overexerted myself, and hence the migraines, and which I've always had, and the aneurysm kind of caught me off guard, and the Bell's palsy and the droopy face. But I'm getting better, and things will move forward. But in between that, I also managed to get my certification for becoming a yogi. And for me, it was an ideal thing to do because I definitely needed a bit more structure for my day-to-day living. And even though I may not be religious anymore, I definitely enjoy having a set of rules that I like to follow with and abide for myself. And yoga just really seemed to influence that in a much better, much healthier way. So this season, I definitely really want to take a stroll into the 8 core foundations of yoga and how it can really benefit your life in whole, especially sexually. So let's dive into it. Today's episode, Yama, moral discipline. So while I was going through all of my yoga courses online, and I did it in the course of 3 weeks and 200 hours, which I'll never do again because that was just way too much in a short amount of time. However, it allowed me to recognize where I was kind of falling short in some places of my life. Yama is the first moral discipline of the 8 core features of yoga. When I say 8 core features, I just mean 8 components that make up the lifestyle of a yogi. So the word yama is often translated as restraint or moral discipline or moral vow. And these vows are completely universal. No matter who you are or where you come from or what your current situation is or wherever you feel like you're heading, they form a moral imperative or commandment, rules or goals for yourself. Now, the yamas are more of a don't do these things list of self-restraints, and these yamas typically represent commitments that affect relationships with yourself and others. Now, there is a complementary aspect to it where there is a niyama, which represents the you have to do these list of observances. And together with the niyamas, these are personal obligations that are supposed to help you live well. Again, we're going to be focusing on the yama part, which is the social restraints and moral codes of what you believe is right for you. And again, I'm taking an interesting twist on this and relating it to things sexually, but you don't have to go there. However, this is Oh No, the Zozo Show. I love to talk about sex. I love sex, and I encourage and I implore people to have sex, but you also need to know what your boundaries are and what you do and don't want to do. And the Yoga Sutra describes 5 different yamas, and I really want to touch base on that because it's really helped me become a better sexual partner and also allowed me to recognize when things weren't going so well for me sexually to where I can actually just break off and say, not working. And y'all know I always have to have my pearls, so it's not going to be as intense, I think, this season, but you never know. Sometimes things just like to slip out. Okay, so diving in, the first yama that I'm going to be talking about is ashimsa, which is nonviolence. Now, the word ashimsa literally means not to injure or show cruelty to any creature or person. And we've all had that person, well, I shouldn't say we all, but I've definitely had a few people who I have been intimate with that wanted to be super aggressive or felt like they needed to be aggressive with me to show dominance. But I fight and I scratch back. However, sometimes if you're okay with it being a little rough, then hey, have at it. However, for all the other yamas and niyamas that need to be carried out, make sure that ashimsa is one in mind. Now, if you don't already have some type of meditation practice that you're pursuing, I definitely encourage you to cultivate one or cut out some time for sitting in the quiet for as little as 5 minutes a day. Spend a few minutes each day just practicing loving kindness meditation. And I'm saying that in a way to where you say positive affirmations to yourself. Give yourself a little bit of love. Give yourself some peace, joy, and especially forgiveness. Forgiveness for yourself goes a long way, especially when you feel as though you've made some mistakes in the past, especially when it comes to your sexual activity. I know I felt I've made some sexual mistakes in the past, and I know I've probably hurt some people with my deceiving, and people have definitely hurt me with their deceiving. But being able to find forgiveness within yourself and within other people really makes you understand that, hey, I can get through a lot more than I think I'm capable of. Then extend your heart out and send some of those blessings to some friends or former lovers who you're still okay or cool with and in contact with. And honestly, once you get established with this loving kindness and taking care of yourself and making sure that you show concern for other people, it'll be hard to not see how you're going to grow from it. And it'll also be an opportunity for you to let somebody else in if you've been wanting to keep yourself closed off. Again, I'm relating this to sex, even though they're telling me to take a vow of celibacy. Can't do it, won't do it. Okay, the next yama is something that I feel is definitely very personal to me, and it's asteya, which is the non-stealing. And that is pretty much saying that you should not be taking something that is not rightfully yours. So whatever you decide to give to somebody sexually is completely yours, and whatever they decide to give to you is theirs. And when you have that mutual understanding, it's important for you to not cross those boundaries. Now, it can be easy to feel jealous of others' happiness, and it sometimes feels like there's a limited amount of happiness in the world when others around you seem so happy. But if somebody's happy with the sexuality that they're giving you, and for whatever reason you don't want them to be happy with it, trust me, there are crazy situations. And this can go outside of sex too. Like if you see somebody's having a great day and you want to take that joy away from them, don't do that. Don't steal their joy. Yet jealousy is a vicious cycle, and it leads to a dead end. If you're in an open relationship, that can also be a little bit tricky. You feel like you have control over one person when you actually don't. And when you try to take their joy for being in an open relationship, it's only going to make you feel worse. Now, to help curb that state of mind, practice some sympathetic joy. Choose someone that you love unconditionally and celebrate their happiness. Then expand your heart and see everyone else around you for who they are and what they are, and be happy for them, whether they want to be celibate, whether they want to be a freak out in the streets and in the sheets, or whether they just want to be themselves. You know, hold in your heart a person who brings up your jealousy the most and freely, and see that person's happiness and success and joy. And within yourself, you'll start to feel that happiness and joy and desire. Then come back to your state of mind and back to your heart and feel freedom. Let yourself just kiss and release it, because I can't tell you how many people have come for me when I said, yes, I'm a happily sexually open person, and they're literally disgusted by it. Like, don't steal my joy. Like, go get dick down somewhere else. Like, and I genuinely mean that in like a non-snarky, sometimes snarky way. But really, for the most part, I want people to go get dick down, or get their clits licked, or dick sucked, booty ate, coochie munched on, all of that. You need it. Now, the next Yama is Satya, which is essentially truthfulness. And Satya means to speak the truth, but it is not limited to spoken word only. It applies to truth in all actions. And I'm going to relate this into a sexual way. Be truthful about who you are sexually. Hiding who you are is only going to cause you to repress that natural, beautiful energy that you can release. Now, when you try to put it into practice of everyday life, of not speaking truthful, it can be tempting to put on a happy face and say you're fine any time of the year, even when you're not. However, doing this, as I said, blocks your beautiful energy. It creates emotional distance between you and the world. Try being honest in an authentic way. If you're having a bad day and someone asks how you're doing, let's start telling them the truth. Be brave enough to say that you're not having a good day, and then see what happens. If they want to stick around and listen to you, great. If they don't, that's fine too. When I have a bad day sexually and I know I wasn't up at my game, I'm just like, I'm sure I could have done better. Or when, not to just make it about sex, or if I'm having a bad work day, or even during the course of having the migraines and the Bell's palsy, like, no, it doesn't make me feel good, and I'm unfortunately rather vain, and I want to make sure that I can smile big and beautiful and brightly, but right now I can't, and that doesn't make me feel good. However, it's good releasing it and being truthful about it. After all, truthfulness opens the door up for honest connections. You might be surprised to find out how compassionate people are with their responses when you share your vulnerability with the world. And growing up Haitian, we didn't share shit like this. We did not talk about our feelings. We did not talk about our emotions. You suck it up. You get over it. I'm very glad to be introducing myself and hopefully others to a different way of living, one that would hopefully benefit you in the long run. Now, y'all, I'm not sure if I'm even pronouncing these to the best of my abilities, but I'm trying to be as honest and straightforward with them as I possibly can, and it's not my actual first language, so if I make a mistake in pronouncing some of these yamas, forgive me. You're learning with me, but the research that I've done into it and the practices that I've gone into have really just given me a great sense of calm. However, the next yama is aparigraha, which is non-possessiveness. This just pretty much means to only take what is necessary. This includes not taking advantage of any situation. I'm not even going to front. I am greedy, greedy, greedy. I am the youngest of four. I want to take. And I really, even before I did the yoga, recognized that it was a problem within myself, especially sexually. Not that I would take without consent, never. That is just not something I would even want to toy or joke around with. I was always a person that liked to take advantage of the situation because I didn't want to be looked down on. I felt like I had to prove a point or make sure that I could be seen. And being the youngest of four, I'm sure there were a lot of, things in the back of my mind saying, oh, you have to do this or you have to do that. And it was greedy and it was selfish. And I had to grow from that. I had to stop being selfish sexually as far as how much I wanted from someone or someone's at any given moment, because you're never on the same wavelength as the person that you're with sexually. You could be pretty close to it, but at some point, there is going to be a disconnect, and that's okay. And this is a Yama that pretty much means non-greed. You don't need to covet anything, and non-attachment. And if you truly put this Yama to work in your heart, you are going to be able to practice letting go some of your ego, some of your judgments, and how someone reacts to how much you're able to give to them as well. Remember, true acts of giving are not performative and don't really need a lot of praise or public celebration. I think it's weird when, not to sound too judgmental or critical, when people like to blast themselves on social showing how much they've given or how much they've done. It's odd to me. I'm more of a private, quiet person in regards to that. But a big part of this Yama involves releasing your attachment to a particular outcome when giving and receiving things. So just because you get something doesn't mean you have to give something, and just because you give something, it doesn't mean you have to receive something. Be grateful, and I shouldn't say be grateful. Let's start being more willing to appreciate getting and receiving without needing to receive or give in return. And finally, the last Yama is Brahmacharya, which essentially means abstinence, most particularly regarding sexual relationships. Not even going to front, this is one I probably can't get behind too much. However, it is allowing me to look deeper within myself to say, okay, I don't need it so much. I can take a step back, and I can take a break from needing sex all the time. And now, this is not meant to be a forced repression of your sex drive. It's just meant to transform the sex energy into fuel for the journey of other higher consciousness. So, if you're really trying to get on another level of figuring out who you are, yes, taking a break from sex is definitely going to help. And I've taken breaks from sex with other folks myself. It's just not been like years long of agonizing torture, because yeah, I really think that the idea of not being able to express myself sexually just seems so foreign to me. And not saying that won't change. However, it's okay to be celibate sometime. This Yama is, as I mentioned, translated as celibacy. There is, however, more to that than abstinence. Only super devout yogis are really going to take the vow of celibacy, and I love yoga because of what it does for my body. And I started doing a lot more yoga because I realized how much better sex could be. But for most yogis, it may be best to think about this Yama as an act of valuing or honoring the commitment in the relationship that you already have in your life. If you're in a committed relationship, take on gratitude as a daily practice and express that in your actions. And it's a great thing because I've actually started to do this within my own marriage, and I really want to look for the things that I am completely grateful for. It's easy to complain. It's easy to find something that you're not happy about. And again, I'm not a relationship expert, but I do want you to work on yourself, just as I feel as though I'm working on myself, and working on myself to be better for my partner. And I want to find reasons to thank my partner for making me better. And, if you can do that, even if it's with a close friend or a fuck buddy, find a way to try and commit to giving some gratitude daily. And if it's a situation where you're not in a committed relationship with someone, turn your sense of honored inward and think of one thing that you're grateful about for yourself. And then look at yourself in the mirror and say thank you. Like shit, I'm a bad bitch. Thank you for being a bad bitch. The neck just popped, but it's okay. And it's okay to thank yourselves for that. And I encourage you to do that on a regular basis, because you're just going to feel better about yourself. And that kindness that you show to yourself is definitely going to extend to others. Let's go for a nookie fact. Nookie fact. Egyptian fruit bats exchange fruit for sex. I think they're really onto something. I love myself a fruit basket. Just throwing it out there. Happy nookie facts, and back to the show. Mwah. Well, thank y'all for tuning in to Season 4, Episode 1 of Oh No, the Zozo Show. I am very much looking forward to this season, and I'm looking forward to just hopefully enlightening and educating everybody about all of the core foundations of the path of a yogi. This has really been an important journey for me, and I know I sound a little awkward with my speech. It's because I have to talk out of one side of my mouth, and when I smile it looks funny. It's like, I know, it's actually kind of got me a little down and depressed, but I'm happy that I'm still comfortable enough to jump in front of the camera and have you guys download the cast and just hear me out. So forgive me, I'm working on my speech, and everything will come back to normal sooner than later. Not sure when, but I'm still excited to be getting these messages out. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, be sure to send an email at zozo@thezozo.com. That's ZOEZO at THEZOEZO at gmail.com. And as usual, be good to yourself and to others. Love and peace, and I'll see you next week. This is Zoe. Mwah.